Well, hello there. I'm Ron. I'm one of the authors with Fae Corps Publishing, and thank you for joining us for our Fae Corps Publishing book release party for our newest anthology of Onward's Adventure, Fantasy Tales and Epic Tales of Adventure. So, in honor of that, I'm going to read you the first few pages of my story that is in the anthology called Orc Training Camp. And if you are a gamer or a lover of games such as Dungeons and Dragons or EverQuest or World of Warcraft, then this story should be right up your alley. So here we go with Orc Training Camp. Grog opened his eyes. The first rays of sunlight were creeping their way into his barracks tent. Somewhere in his dream, he had heard the bell that signified a new day at the Orc Training Camp. His orc brain was slow to respond to the waking process, and several thoughts went through his head as he tried to struggle against the grasping roots of drowsiness. Grog thought back to what he was dreaming about. He could remember it had to do with his mother. He closed his eyes and tried to concentrate on her visage. "Grog, wake up," she said in that dreamy voice only an orc mother could have. To Grog, it sounded like a cross between a crystal mountain stream trickling through the rocks and a saw blade chopping wood. He liked his mother's voice. It felt very comforting to him. "Wake up, Grog," she said again. "Today is a very special day." Ah, yes, today. The day Grog would be sent to the Orc Soldiers Training Camp. As with most young orcs his age, he would be sent to the training camp to learn the ways of survival and warfare, to one day protect the dear orc lands from the trampling footsteps of the intruders. Grog had learned in school that the orc territory used to be vast and covered much of all the lands to the north and south, but with the invasion of humans and elves and their elite weapons, the orc numbers had been cut back drastically, and now the orcs were struggling to survive in ramshackle camps with what meager possessions they could loot from the bodies of their victims. Grog's father had been an orc soldier, a captain in the orc army, a very proud orc, and Grog respected his father, loved him as only an orc child could. But unfortunately, his father had been slain by the hand of the invaders several moons ago. Grog vowed that one day he would avenge his father's death. Orcs hold a very strong bond for their kin. "Time to wake up, Grog," his mother called again. He realized he had almost drifted back to sleep. Slowly he crawled out of his straw mat on the floor and stood up. He stretched a full stretch, then donned his dull green training tunic, the same tunic all new recruits were given, the tunic that would carry him to the waiting orc training camp. He made his way into the main section of the tent home where his mother was placing a small wooden bowl of bat-wing gruel on the old oak table. Grog did not speak. His mother was cheery. She knew it was an important day for her son. She let him eat in silence while she tidied up the tent and soaked the cooking pots in the already dirty water. Shortly after breakfast, there was a rapping on the tent frame. "Hail!" came the call. "Come in," his mother responded, still cheery. The tent flapped open, and Grog watched in awe as the biggest orc he'd ever seen in his life walked in. He was twice as wide as Grog was from shoulder to shoulder, and stood at least twice as high. His armor was shiny gold and quite impressive. Around his waist he wore a large belt decorated in various motifs and lined with numerous slashes. He was a giant of an orc, the likes of which Grog had never seen. "I am Lieutenant Gore, Assistant Headmaster at the Orc Training Facility," he began in a booming voice. "I am here for Grog." Grog shyly stood up. He barely came up to the man's belt. His mother stood behind him. She placed a comforting hand on Grog's shoulder. "Yes, I'm very proud of Grog," she said with that saw blade trickling water voice. "I'm sure he'll make a very fine warrior some day, like his father was." The lieutenant looked down on Grog. "Yes, looks stout for his age. I bet your father was a fine warrior," Gore said, kneeling to be eye to eye with Grog. Then he said in a quieter voice, "Son, you understand these are tough times we live in, right? Being a foot soldier in the Orc army is not easy. To tell the truth, countless have died, but we do what we can. There is no shame to die in combat. Many Orcs consider it the greatest honor to die while protecting their homelands. Now, if you're strong of arm, strong of will, then I know that you too can be the great warrior your father once was. So what do you say? Would you like to be an Orc soldier? Grog was near paralyzed. It was all too much to take in at once. He could not find his voice, but he knew he wanted it more than anything else. Slowly, he nodded his head. Very well, then, said Gore, regaining his full composure. If you have your things packed, then we'll be off. We have a long day ahead. Grog had already packed what little possessions he owned. His mother handed him his rucksack. He looked at her, still unable to speak. The tent was silent now. Gore let out a small cough, recognizing the situation. I'll just step outside and check the horses while you say goodbye to your mother. With that, he turned on his boot heel and promptly exited. His mother was the first to speak. I'm proud of you, Grog. Her voice was more water than sawblade now. And I know you'll make our family proud. Your father would definitely be proud. I want you to write as often as you can. I will miss you, you know that. Grog felt tears in his eyes. He suddenly hugged his mother very tightly. He let the tears flow as she comforted him. He did not want to let go. But out of the corner of his eye, he saw Gore standing in the entrance. We must go now, Grog. Daylight moves fast. Goodbye, Grog, his mother said finally. He knew inside she must be feeling terrified, but she was trying to remain strong to not show it. Grog still couldn't speak. Lieutenant Gore had already mounted his horse, a tall black stallion. He waited patiently as Grog adjusted the saddle of his smaller brown mare, then with one last look at his mother, placed his foot in the stirrup and swung himself upward. Gore clicked his tongue, and the stallion slowly started off down the path away from Grog's family tent. Grog followed behind, his mind numb, his heart aching. Looking back over his shoulder, he watched as his mother waved at him. His eyes were full of tears. That's it. If you want to read more, then you have to go pick up your own copy of the book. We will be doing a live stream tonight at 9 o'clock where you can find out more information about all of us authors for Fae Corps Publishing and maybe find out some secrets behind the writing of the books. So make sure you tune in. Thank you for watching.